Reimagining Success, episode 167. You're listening to Reimagining Success, the podcast where we help you reimagine your future, designing a life and career beyond the 9 to 5 that allows you the freedom, flexibility and fulfillment that you've been dreaming of. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg. Now, let's get started on those dreams. Okay, so we've been talking about setting goals and looking at that big picture, sticking with it over the long haul and so on. Something I want to talk about today is breaking down those big goals. And in particular, I want to talk about the one step. Yes, the one step trademark. No, not quite trademark, but it does come from my brand, One Step Outside. Which, if you didn't know, comes from the quote, everything you've ever wanted is one step outside your comfort zone, is one step. So I really love this concept and it's such a powerful tool to use. So let's have a look at why it can be so powerful, how it can work for you. If you have set the traditional New Year's resolutions, which of course I recommend against, but if you've done so nonetheless, if you have rather set the kind of goals that I talk about, if you've got your vision board, if you've got your core desired feelings and values and your big picture vision and so on, that's all well and good, but it can still seem incredibly overwhelming, right? How am I ever going to get there? How do I get started? And so this one idea that I've come across relatively recently is of micro resolutions. And there was an article in the media recently, of course, many articles on New Year's resolutions around January time. And the idea is that you break down the resolutions. So rather than the classic, obviously, get fit, lose weight, blah, 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 you break it down into mini resolutions, not just mini, but micro. So, for example, and speaking of the fitness focus, I've literally broken down my fitness goal into steps with my personal trainer and coach, Hannah. So when we started, it was some months ago, my average number of steps a day was about 4,000. I think that was even a good day. When I was doing a run, that was making up, it was quite a short run, maybe 3-4K. That was making up a certain number of steps. And on some days, actually it was summer, so there's no excuse, but I was going to say, especially when the weather was bad, it's hard maybe with kids, that's my excuse. My average steps weren't very high. And interestingly, I think it's interesting, I never really loved this idea of steps. My mum has long been obsessed with pedometers, and of course they're a hugely widely used tool in fitness, right? But it just felt like another to-do for me. And it's just a bit tedious just to go for a walk. And does it anyway make a difference? Just walking, is that really going to burn fat? Blah, blah, blah. So my average was around 4,000. Now, recently, and it has been some months, I've been checking and consistently, my average is around 12,000. And that's, not feeling great. It's with kids, without kids, with runs, without runs. And so over just a period of weeks, arguably, but months, I've really tripled the number, I guess, and gone over that kind of very far off target of 10,000. We were trying to get up to 8,000 initially, 10,000 and now an average of 12,000, which means sometimes I do more. And what's really powerful for me, especially, is that I feel like I've totally reframed how I look at that extra activity. So again, before it used to be tedious, the post office closed for lunch, I've got to come back later, or, I have to do this extra errand. Now I look forward to that extra errand. Yes, I forgot something, I can go again. Or, Zach needs an extra walk, or I'll go in. And luckily, Zach, who's just a little over one, is at the moment at least very tolerant of going for long walks. I've got a couple of routes that are about an hour, which obviously gets in a decent amount of steps. I do my runs 3 times a week. I'm trying to increase the length of that. Even Sophia and I like to scooter around the block, and that's a few steps there, going down to the shop, post office, etc., right? So it's just interesting, I think, how I've been able to reframe, having just made some minor tweaks over the last few weeks and months. Once you've done that, once you've focused on a specific thing, and of course that's not the only thing I've done with Hannah, with my coach, we've also looked at the food I'm eating, and I've done workouts, and I've been running and so on. But I have also been walking, even on the days I haven't been able to run or work out. So when I've not been very well, when I've not, for whatever reason, been able to fit a workout in, I've really tried to still hit those steps. And then, as I said, then I can layer on other things. And that's what's interesting and powerful about the micro resolutions. I seem to be saying interesting and powerful quite a lot, but the one step is very interesting and very powerful. So micro resolutions. really making it teeny tiny so it's easy to track, it's manageable, it feels achievable, and ultimately that's going to, create momentum. And then next month you can layer on again another micro resolution and stick to that, right? So that's fitness, and that's the cliched kind of resolution. Let's think of another goal like start business, write book, do website. These are massive, humongous goals. And if you have any of these, I have, create course on my to-do list. That's not a to-do, that's a project. That's not a step. It's not a plan. It's really just kind of an idea, I suppose. And so we need to be breaking that down, thinking about how can we get started. If you've never written a book and you're not even writing at the moment, that was me some years ago and still sometimes now, what about writing for 30 minutes every day? In fact, 30 minutes every day sounds like a lot to me. 10 minutes every day, 1 page every day, 5 minutes, whatever that is, right? Really get it down so small that there's no way, Jose, that you'll ever not do those X number of minutes or pages or whatever it is. Once you do that, then you'll see, okay, wow, that's manageable. I can do a little bit more. I can do a little bit more. And before you know it, you will have written your magnum opus. Maybe it's rather an action like, okay, I'm going to speak to one person a day, connect with one new person a day, speak to this certain person who's done this before, who knows what to do, sit down and look at your finances, research coaches, whatever it is, right? The research programs. So it's not going straight from 0 to 100. It's really thinking, what's one thing I can do today? And I used to do a weekly post in our Facebook group, One Step Wednesday. I love a good alliteration. What's one step you can take today to move you closer to your goals? And of course, the goal would be to take that step every day. But even if you don't take it every day, arguably you will still have done it most days, more than nothing. And again, over time, that's what's going to get you to where you want to be. Not quite on the one step, but in the same kind of vein, I've long, and I've talked about it before, wanted to play more piano, and I learnt the ukulele in Hawaii during my digital nomad days and so on. And I'm sure I've talked about this idea of unicorn space by Eve Rodsky, which is finding that outlet for creative expression, what makes you uniquely you. And piano, I'm not good at piano. I never loved practicing. I love singing, and I love musicals, and I used to love Disney and so on. And I have the aspiration to be good, as I do on many things. I want to be good at everything, as that eternal good girl. But for me, it always seems overwhelming. Oh my goodness, I have the goal of I'm going to practice every day. And then, of course, I know I'm not going to. That just doesn't fit with my identity. So then I don't play at all. Whereas, interestingly, there's that word again. Recently, I have actually just tried to sit down 5-10 minutes, play a couple of my songs. My songs of choice at the moment are I Know Him So Well from Chess, and For Good from Wicked, and Memory, which is always my go-to piece, which I always have the ambition to learn by heart and play perfectly in public. Let's see how that goes. But I love it because, to be honest, I don't have a goal to be, certainly not a concert pianist. Yes, okay, I'd love to sit down spontaneously at the piano, and when someone goes, hey, play a song, I could play a perfect song. But whether or not that happens, I'm really just enjoying sitting down for those few minutes. And however busy we are, and I say this, with many ambitions and projects in my business, with 2 little kids, with a big house project we're doing, etc., etc. I can't tell you how many things, and we all have these very busy lives and schedules and long to-do lists and so on. Even I can sit down 5-10 minutes. Even I am not so important that I can't possibly carve out a few moments. And it might be, when everyone else is out, or luckily I have headphones, so it's an electric piano, so I can play when the kids are sleeping. I don't want anyone to hear me, so just a few minutes, more or less every day, not every day. I haven't played yet today, but I could do. And that makes such a difference. Again, it's enjoying the journey, as we talked about a couple of months ago, and not thinking in black and white, all or nothing. So coming back then to that one step, I want you to really think about what is one step I could take today. So by all means, break your big goals into micro resolutions. You could come up with one for every month this year, for example, if you want to. But definitely, if you're finding that you're procrastinating, if you're finding that you're overwhelmed, you think, my goodness, this is never going to happen. Oh, I meant to write, for 2 hours and I haven't written at all. Then please scale it back a little bit and think about just that one thing you could do. I always think that we get it backwards because we think, we've got to wait for that motivation to hit and then we'll do it. But that doesn't happen, as you may well have experienced. So we have to take action in order to create motivation. It comes from doing. We create momentum, we take action, that then gives us confidence, it sparks new ideas, it kicks things off, and off we go, right? So we have to take that step. If I'm lying on the sofa, and I've given this example before, if I'm lying on the sofa thinking, oh, I need to get motivated to clean, I'm not going to do it. Or I need to get motivated to do my workout. If I go, look, I'm just going to work out for 5 minutes, I'm just going to wipe down that tabletop. Once I'm doing it, oh, it's not that bad. Actually, I'm enjoying it. And hey, I'm going to do the full workout. I'm going to clean the whole kitchen or whatever it is. So again, starting with a little step, taking action, then gets you clarity, gives you confidence, creates momentum, and before you know it, you're much further along than if you had kept trying to kind of scale the mountain in one big leap, right? So that's what I want to talk about today, the one step. So a bit of a theoretical concept, but also incredibly tangible. So whatever you're working on, whatever stage of the career transition you're at, business growth, book writing process, podcast launching, website development, update, try to break it down into one step. If it's something that requires consistent effort, in my case, fitness, that kind of thing, obviously, or writing a book, let's say, it's great to break it down into a specific goal, let's say 5 days out of 7 or whatever that could look like for you. We've got the kids in nursery 3 days a week now, so it could be for me 3 times a week, right, rather than the full 5 or 7. So if it's something that requires you to consistently show up, interacting with people on Instagram or sending connection requests on LinkedIn, writing, reading, doing your course, working on a program, developing something, then break it into something that you're going to show up and commit to doing it every day. Could still be 3 days out of 7, 5 days, 7, whatever. If it's more just that you have to get going, you haven't even worked out what that regular, consistent action is, then still try to break it down into one thing I can do today. And then once you've done that, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And once you then got a bit of momentum, a bit of confidence, again, then you can look ahead. Then you can, get support to try to take bigger leaps. But at least for now, just focus on doing something. Send the email, pick up the phone, write the thing, do the thing. And that's going to really help you take that leap ultimately. So I want to leave it there, and I'm going to wish you the best of luck with your one step. If you want to share it with me, do tag me on Instagram, ping me on LinkedIn, whatever your favorite social platform. But I'd love to hear what your project is, of course, but what your one step is that you're going to commit to the second that you stop listening to this episode. And I look forward to seeing you back here next week. Bye for now.
Are you ready to build and scale your business to achieve everything you dreamed of when you started, without sacrificing your personal life and your sanity to do so? The truth is that escaping the 9-to-5 is not just about saying, I quit, to your boss, or putting up a website and ordering a set of business cards. A sustainable escape requires you to design and build a viable business that consistently brings in income and that fits in around the other priorities in your life. Join us in the Outsiders Business Accelerator to get ongoing coaching, training, and mentoring to help you create a long-term brand and business that works for you. Read more and apply at onestepoutside.com/accelerate. That's onestepoutside.com/accelerate.